Have you ever tried making pickles out of zucchini? Today, I've got some zucchini ready, along with a few familiar ingredients like black pepper, chili, and dried parsley. With just these simple items, I'm going to turn the zucchini into a crunchy, flavorful, and incredibly easy to make dish. Let's get started. First, I'll start by prepping the zucchini. I've already washed the zucchini, so now I just need to place it on the cutting board and trim off the stem end. For the first section, I'm slicing the zucchini into rounds like this. You don't need to slice them too thinly. Keeping a moderate thickness ensures the pieces hold their shape well and retain a nice crunch after pickling, making them much more enjoyable to eat. For the remaining zucchini, I'll switch up the cutting style a bit. I'll cut the zucchini in half lengthwise, place each half firmly on the board, and then carefully cut them into bite-sized strips. I try to keep my cuts steady so the pieces are relatively uniform in size. This ensures they absorb the seasonings evenly. I've intentionally prepared both rounds in strips. This not only makes the dish look more varied and visually appealing, but also makes it convenient to pick up and eat. Once all the zucchini is cut, I'll gently arrange the pieces on a plate. With the zucchini prepped, I'll move on to a crucial part of the dish, making the pickling brine. This liquid largely determines the final flavor, so I'm combining sour, salty, and sweet notes with the aromatic qualities of various spices. First, I measure out about 250 milliliters of apple cider vinegar, roughly 1 cup like this, and pour it directly into the pot. I use apple cider vinegar because it has a pleasant acidity and a mild aroma, making it perfect for vegetable pickles. Next, I add a liter of filtered water to dilute the vinegar. This amount of water softens the acidity, creating a more harmonious brine when combined with the other seasonings. To enhance the aroma, I add a spoonful of whole peppercorns. As they steep with the zucchini, these small peppercorns will gradually release their fragrance and impart a pleasant, mild heat. I add a spoonful of brown sugar to balance the vinegar's acidity. The sugar isn't there to make the dish taste distinctly sweet, but rather to round out the flavors of the brine. 2 spoonfuls of salt are essential. Salt not only adds depth to the zucchini's flavor, but is also a staple ingredient in vegetable pickles. Finally, I toss in a few bay leaves. When heated, the leaves release their signature aroma, adding an intriguing layer of scent to the brine. With all the ingredients ready, I place the pot on the stove and start heating it. I give it a gentle stir occasionally to ensure the sugar and salt dissolve completely. As the liquid heats up, you'll see the peppercorns and bay leaves rise to the surface, and the aroma of the spices will become more pronounced. I bring the brine to a boil. By this point, the sugar and salt have dissolved, and the spices have had time to release their aroma. I turn off the heat and set the pot aside to let the liquid cool down a bit. While waiting, I take the opportunity to prepare the jars for the zucchini. I have 4 glass jars here that have already been cleaned and sterilized. Before using them, I double-check to ensure the insides are clean and free of any residue. Now, I begin arranging the prepared zucchini pieces into the jars. For the round slices, I gently stack them on top of one another. As for the long strips, I stand them upright against the sides of the jar like this. I arrange them neatly, but without packing or pressing them too tightly. This allows the brine to flow into the gaps and fully coat the zucchini pieces later. I continue this process, distributing the zucchini evenly among the 4 jars. Once finished, the green zucchini pieces sitting neatly inside the jars already look very appealing. Once the pickling liquid has cooled to the right temperature, I begin ladling it into the prepared zucchini jars. I pour slowly to allow the liquid to seep into the gaps between the zucchini slices and evenly coat the ingredients inside. You might notice that as the liquid is added, some zucchini slices tend to float to the surface. To address this, I use a clean spoon to gently press and pack the zucchini down. There is no need for excessive force. The goal is simply to ensure the slices sit neatly inside and remain mostly submerged in the liquid. This is a small but crucial detail. Keeping the vegetables below the surface of the liquid ensures they come into uniform contact with the vinegar and spice mixture, allowing the flavors to infuse evenly during the pickling process. To enhance the aroma and visual appeal, I add a few peppercorns to each jar. I also have some dried parsley on hand. I sprinkle a little over the top of each jar. This not only adds fragrance, but also creates lovely little green flecks against the zucchini. At this stage, you can see the zucchini slices neatly nestled in the liquid, interspersed with peppercorns and spices. The green of the zucchini combined with the crystal-clear liquid makes the dish look incredibly appetizing, even before it is fully finished. Finally, I wipe the jar rims clean of any stray liquid and seal the lids tightly. Once the jars of zucchini are securely sealed, I prepare a pot large enough to hold them. Before arranging the jars, I lay a clean towel at the bottom of the pot. Make sure not to skip this small step. The towel creates a buffer between the pot's base and the glass jars, preventing direct contact with the hot metal surface. It also helps cushion the jars against the bottom of the pot if they shift or vibrate slightly as the water boils. Next, I place the zucchini jars into the pot one by one. Once they are standing upright and steady, I slowly pour in the water. I use a moderate amount of water, just enough, as shown in the video, rather than filling the pot too high. I cover the pot with its lid, place it on the stove, and begin heating it. While the water heats up, I leave the jars undisturbed to prevent them from knocking against each other. When the water starts to boil, I turn off the heat. The glass jars are very hot at this stage, so I handle them with great care. I have a clean towel ready on the counter and carefully remove the jars one by one, placing them onto the towel. I avoid setting hot jars directly onto a cold surface, as a sudden temperature change could cause the glass to crack. Following my method, I gently turn each jar upside down and let them sit that way for about 15 to 20 minutes. Remember, the jars are still hot, so avoid handling them with bare hands. After the allotted time, I turn the jars back to their upright position. I drape a clean towel over them and let them rest for another 5 minutes. This allows the jars to cool down gradually rather than undergoing a rapid temperature shift. Finally, I remove the towel, and my jars of pickled zucchini are complete. Looking through the glass, you can see the zucchini slices retaining their lovely color, interspersed with the peppercorns and spices I prepared earlier. A quick note here: the heating and inverting process I just demonstrated doesn't mean these jars are safely canned for long-term storage at room temperature. With this homemade method, I store the jars in the refrigerator after they cool and consume them within a reasonable time frame. And now for the part I've been looking forward to most. I open a jar and place a few zucchini slices on a plate to enjoy. The slices have absorbed the mild tang of the apple cider vinegar, balanced by savory notes, a hint of sweetness, and the aroma of peppercorns and bay leaves. I'll taste a piece to experience the final result. The zucchini has a harmonious balance of tart, salty, and sweet flavors, with a subtle hint of spices, a truly unique and interesting taste. By simply changing the preparation method for a familiar vegetable like zucchini, we've created an exciting side dish to add some variety to family meals.